Shocking drops in D.C. crime rates have everyone talking, but the reason behind it is sparking intense debate across the city. Is Washington, D.C.'s new sense of security worth the cost to its community spirit? Let's break down what's really happening on the streets of the nation's capital, and why even D.C.'s mayor is torn about the solution. Mayor Muriel Bowser, addressing reporters on Wednesday, pointed to President Donald Trump's recent surge of federal law enforcement officers as a key factor behind declining crime numbers in Washington, D.C. But, and here's where things get contentious, Bowser also made it clear that certain tactics, especially the use of immigration enforcement and the National Guard, are causing distress rather than offering relief. Bowser's statements came as she delivered a community update following Trump's announcement on August 7th that federal resources would be deployed to tackle D.C.'s persistent crime problems. On one side, she credited the influx of federal officers with helping the Metropolitan Police Department, MPD, lower crime. On the other, she voiced strong concerns about the atmosphere of fear these measures have created for D.C. residents. We are grateful for the additional law enforcement support that's given our local police more bandwidth, Bowser said, referring to the collaboration between the MPD and federal agencies. She highlighted that carjackings, once the most worrisome crime in D.C., have plummeted, a form of crime particularly unsettling for many communities. In fact, since the federal intervention, carjackings plunged by 87% compared to the same period last year. Overall, crime has fallen 15% in that window, according to official data. Bowser emphasized that fewer violent crimes like carjackings and homicides tangibly improve both the reality and perception of neighborhood safety. But here's the part most people miss. Not everyone is cheering. Several city council members took issue with Bowser's mixed messaging, calling her out for praising a law enforcement strategy that, in their view, threatens the city's autonomy. At-large Councilman Robert White Jr. didn't mince words, stating that D.C. shouldn't pretend these measures are positive. It is not doing any of those things, he declared in a public video, insisting that residents are unhappy with the federal takeover. Echoing him, Ward 1 Councilmember Brian Nadeau insisted the city is under siege, pointing out that many locals are hesitant to go about their daily lives, feeling their home rule is slipping away. Mayor Bowser later confirmed she'd had a brief courtesy call with President Trump, but stayed tight-lipped about specifics. She noted that Trump's interest in urban issues and D.C. specifically had grown since his earlier days in office, hinting at a more nuanced relationship than many realize. Still, Bowser did not secure any guarantee that the federal surge would not extend beyond its planned 30 days. She instead reiterated her preference for local control over public safety efforts, stressing the importance of city-led strategies and coordination with federal agencies like the DEA, ATF, and FBI, which already partner with D.C. on serious crime cases. Another key point, Bowser argued that boosting D.C., its own police force, by at least 500 officers would help maintain safety gains long-term, without needing recurring federal surges. She and Police Chief Pamela Smith both suggested that the federal task force approach might be reactivated only in the future, in response to crime waves, not as an ongoing solution. Bowser did point to concrete results from the enhanced federal presence: more firearm seizures, higher accountability, and dramatic reductions in violent offenses. We've seen fewer homicides, fewer gun crimes, and a remarkable drop in carjackings, she said, underscoring the measurable impact of these efforts. Yet controversy looms large. Bowser was adamant that some elements of the federal response are counterproductive, particularly the introduction of masked Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE agents, and National Guard troops from outside states. What we're seeing is a breakdown of trust between police and the community, she warned. Having ICE agents patrolling, wearing masks, and National Guard soldiers from other places is just not effective. The mayor consistently sidestepped direct questions about whether her concerns over immigration enforcement were raised in her conversations with President Trump. However, she promised residents that those anxieties are being actively addressed. The presence of masked officers in unmarked vehicles arresting suspected undocumented immigrants has sent a chill through DC's immigrant population, leaving many afraid and uncertain. Bowser revealed that the city has little insight into who ICE has detained or why, reiterating that DC's focus should remain fixed on reducing violent crime, not immigration status. "It's devastating to see people living in fear," she said, passionately calling for comprehensive national immigration reform and a pathway to citizenship for hard-working, law-abiding immigrants. The White House, for its part, pushed back on criticism. Spokeswoman Taylor Rogers stated, "Crime is not a partisan issue." She praised Trump's decisive actions, claiming the law enforcement surge quickly curbed violent crime and took over 1,000 dangerous individuals, including members of violent gangs, off the streets. She threw down the gauntlet to critics, particularly Democratic leaders, suggesting they learn from what Trump, in her view, has accomplished in Washington. A White House official went further, reporting that just Tuesday night, authorities arrested 40 undocumented immigrants with previous convictions, ranging from assault and DUI to drug offenses and even cases labeled as special interest alien. Since the surge began, 1,170 arrests have been made. So, is the price of lower crime worth these controversial interventions, especially if trust in local government and the comfort of immigrants is damaged? Some hail the surge as decisive and effective, while others believe it threatens the core values and autonomy of the city. Now it's your turn. Do you think federal law enforcement has a place in local safety? And if so, at what cost? Should community fears take priority over crime statistics? Is this a temporary fix, or will DC be forced to rely on external control whenever crime spikes? Let's open up the comments. This is the part where your voice matters most. Where do you stand?